I've seen many desktop warriors where they have 4,000 files on their desktop, and you're like, "Did your computer boot slow?" I'm like, "Yeah, I keep buying memory."
Hi, I'm Eric.
I'm Mike.
Welcome to this week's
Cyber
Sitrep.
Sitrep.
Hey,
we almost got it. Damn.
Almost, so close.
Yeah.
We're not even going to edit it. That's fine. It's all good.
Yeah, this is why you realize that we don't edit much in this. It's all live.
Yeah, our editing skills just aren't there, and
No.
we trust in our staff. So today's Sitrep, we're calling maintenance Schmaintenance, right? Because, while ourselves included, sometimes think maintenance is tedious, it's absolutely essential, right, to maintaining our security posture in our environment, right, and keeping those bad people out of our stuff, right?
Right. It's not just like the old days where, it was all physical. Now we have logical maintenance as well.
Yeah, I know, right? But I think we're going to talk about both of those, right? Because it's still important, right, that we talk about the entire environment, right? Or as we say, the enclave, right? In your enclave, right? Are you doing maintenance on everything you can? Physical, virtual, all the way in between, people, right? You name it.
That's where I need the most work.
Me as well. One of these days.
As I look down, I'm like, I'm not doing enough maintenance.
You can extend that to a lot of areas in our lives, right?
Absolutely.
Well, that's funny. Okay, so for maintenance today, I think what I'd like to do, Mike, is kind of talk about when you think of the term maintenance, what do you think of? What's in scope? When you think of you're maintaining your environment, what does that mean to you?
For me, a lot of it, and I have tools, of course, that we'll talk about that do some of these things, but I'm checking my systems to make sure that they have all the latest drivers and patches and, the software is all up to date. That my system is running optimally.
There's a big one, right? Yeah. Optimal performance, right?
Yeah. Did I load something and it's sitting in my startup, slowing my computer down when I'm not even using it?
Man, I know that's a war story just waiting to happen.
Oh,
I know.
There's plenty out there, yeah. And then
failure to launch.
Yeah, and then the desktop warriors that store all of their files on their desktop, and I have to go, physically remove them because. Yes. See the face? That's the face.
It's my special hell.
Yeah, because if you don't know,
right,
that'll slow your computer down because it's opening those files if it's on your desktop.
Every single time you start your system.
Yep. So
awesome.
Yep. So I've seen many desktop warriors where they have 4,000 files on their desktop, and you're like, "Did your computer boot slow?" I'm like, "Yeah, I keep buying memory."
Right. So I think you nailed the main case, but the edge case I want to make everybody aware of is what about your peripherals, like your networking gear, right?
Absolutely.
Your printers, right? Not only looking at your ink levels, toner, et cetera, but also looking to see is there a firmware update that you need to do.
IoT devices for that.
Yeah, right. Because guess what? It's connected to your network, right? So it's a potential exploit vector,
That's
right?
That's right. IoT, Internet of Things.
Too many acronyms. Oh, that brings up a really good point. I was wanting to mention in earlier Sitreps is that we have way too many acronyms, so we're going to do our best that when we spurt an acronym out there, we'll try to expound on it. Like we just recently did MFA, multi-factor authentication, but I think the most I've ever seen, and this is true, I saw, and I don't remember the acronym now, but I remember it was a acronym that was 3 levels deep. So it was 3 layers of acronym nested. And I'm like, how?
That's the magic roundabout in England.
It blew my mind. It did. It blew my mind that they were that creative, and 2 that why that was just insane. So 3 levels.
And feel free to reach out to us, at the Cyber Sitrep to say, hey, Vanna, I needed a vowel on that last one. Can you give me a few pointers?
Please do. We'd love to give you feedback. Once again, we get in our rut, whatever you want to call it, and we're just used to throwing out acronyms. So please let us know, and we'll expound on those for you.
Yeah.
So we've got printers. We've got our
the IoT
network devices. Network attached storage is a huge one, right?
Yep.
As well. And one of the things when I'm doing maintenance is I take a look at how the system's been behaving historically and see if there's anything that needs attention. Going back to that whole network attached storage, we do a lot of stuff on our NAS, network attached storage, NAS, right?
NAS.
And if we were ever to lose that, we would have a very bad day, right? So I watch that. I have my staff watch that, and we look for temperatures on those drives. We look for read-write errors. If anything pops up on that, we're on that thing instantly, right? Because we put a lot of stuff on that. And granted, we have multiple backups, but the point is, you mentioned, we want everything to run optimally, right? We've put a lot of money into our business grade gear, our kit, and we want it to perform as advertised, right?
Well, and I think a lot of companies now, we come from an environment where a computer room where you have your servers and switches and all those things are typically...
That's why I'm deaf from being in all those data centers and computer rooms.
Exactly. Because it had a air conditioning unit that we worked at 68 degrees 24/7. Most offices are not at 68 degrees running at 24/7.
Not anywhere near that, right?
So that means computers can overheat, and you want to monitor for that stuff. Again, maintenance.
Absolutely, right.
And because we're not all in this optimal computing environment.
Yeah, and just because a device says it'll work up to 120 degrees Fahrenheit doesn't mean it should, right?
Don't send it to the sun to find out.
Right, and it's one thing for it to be in that zone for maybe 10, 15 minutes, but if it's been there for a week, then you may have a system failure on your hands coming up, right? So once again, maintenance, it's not sexy, it's a lot of hard work, but darn it, it's important.
Yeah,
right?
to the point of the physical maintenance on laptops, it used to be with big desktops, we would take them apart and vacuum them out and clean them.
Right? We had to.
And now think of your desktops. How often do you take it apart, vacuum it out? Your your laptop, canned air is my friend.
Yeah.
And I'm constantly hitting it with canned air, getting into the keyboards, making sure it's cleaned out. Not that I'm anal retentive about cleanliness.
I was going to say, that doesn't have anything to do with your OCD, does it?
No, it's CDO. That's the right alphabetical order.
Nice. Oh, that's a good one. Nice. All right. That made me laugh. That was funny. All right. So we know we need to do maintenance. How often should we do maintenance?
It depends on how much equipment you have, but I would definitely set up a schedule, quarterly.
Okay.
If you have a lot of equipment, then maybe a weekly maintenance schedule where you round robin throughout all this stuff.
So you don't make yourself unavailable for 2 days straight.
Exactly, doing maintenance. The network will be down from today until next week because I'm vacuuming.
Don't do that, right? We know people that do. That's why we make the joke. Don't be those people, right? Okay.
So it's a schedule that suits you, but can also be regular and planned.
Right. And then the one thing I'd like to embellish on that too is that not all systems are created equal. So you may need to look at some systems more frequently than others.
Right.
Once again, going back to that NAS, network attached storage, I watch that thing on a daily basis because I'm paranoid about it, right? I come from a storage background, high-end storage, for multi-million-dollar systems. And oh my gosh, I can't tell you how many bad days both us and our customers have had when a drive goes bad. And
to that point, also your environment, right? Like if you're in a very dusty environment,
absolutely, yes.
You work in construction zone, manufacturing,
right?
Maybe you need to clean that stuff slightly
more. Up your game a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Nothing worse than a dirty system, right? I mean, it's just feels bad. People aren't productive and does damage to the system. So, okay, so we've got our frequency set up. Now, here's the other question, right? Because we're security wonks, right?
Yeah.
So we're all about the security. How do we securely perform maintenance? And I know that sounds kind of weird, but we don't want just anybody coming in and turning wrenches on our systems, right?
And sadly, it's not the old days where we have to go to each computer individually, each device individually.
Right. Yeah. Good point.
Where we used to do that.
Right. With a physical person that you could vet, escort, do all that, right?
And come in and do the cleaning and all that kind of stuff. Now we can do it remotely, but we need secure remote connection tools.
Right. Who do we trust, right? I think is kind of where we're going there, right? So how do we do that?
With the remote management tools.
Yeah, RMM.
RMM.
Another remote management and monitoring, another acronym, RMM.
Yep.
We'll have to keep a running tally, everybody, to see how many acronyms we'll get up to for the season.
We'll throw them out. We'll keep throwing them out.
We'll try and keep a running tally, but I think it's going to be a lot. So.
But we have to vet those who are coming in on the other end of that. We want to make sure that the data is encrypted while you're doing the remote maintenance.
Right. And so, one of the things, once again, I'm always an edge case person. and I apologize, but it's not a devil's advocate thing, because I've really been there with this stuff. But let's say you have to send your system out for maintenance. Let's say you have a support contract with a vendor, and you didn't spring
vice
for the
presidential son who just dropped it off at the local.
Yes. Oh, yeah,
squad.
right. Oh, yeah, right. Or you have to send it back to the manufacturer so that they can, fix it for you, because you were too cheap to pay for the on-site warranty, right?
That's
Where
right.
they come to you, right? And so, what kind of data do you have on your system, right? Think about that. Do you have any, confidential data? Do you have anything that's proprietary? Do you have any corporate secrets on that system that you really don't want somebody outside of your environment getting
the
to?
teenager at Geek Squad
Oh, that's a good point.
to have all my IP data?
Right.
I don't know.
Right.
I didn't hire the person.
Right.
And I have no NDA with Geek Squad. So
None at all, right? They won't agree to that.
what's the legal liability?
Right. So think about that as part of your maintenance walk, right? If it's something that you do on site, that's fine. See if you do have that case. If you're sending stuff externally, how are you going to sanitize that machine or make it safe, or that component, before you send it out, right? That all needs to be part of your maintenance strategy, right?
That's right.
That you're doing here. And that, one little side thing I want to do here, Mike, is that maintenance is what we're talking about now, but it's part of the same coin. It's the other side of the coin of configuration management. The two go hand in hand, right? And we're going to talk about configuration management in yet another Sitrep, because we don't want to, keep you on for an hour at a time here. We know you guys have a lot of cool things to do. So
we're all busy people.
Right. So maintenance today, configuration management soon, right? But maintenance is how we enforce that configuration management, right?
Absolutely.
And do everything. So, all right.
Are you going to move to documentation because of configuration management?
That's exactly where I'm going
That's
next,
what I
right?
thought. Yeah.
So the last piece, and I would argue probably one of the most critical pieces,
That's right.
is you've done all the maintenance. Now you need to document it, right?
What did you update?
I was going to say, why do we need to document our maintenance?
Because
why is that important?
I may have changed something.
All right.
And so,
well, not you may have, you did, knowing you.
Yeah,
you can't help yourself, right?
Right. So when we go and we update the BIOS, or we update the firmware, or we've added new software or a new patch, that changes your system, whether you like it or not.
It does. Which could, in fact, impact your configuration management baseline.
Exactly.
And maybe you got some more work to do on that, saying, hey, we moved this configuration slightly by doing this. But, so that's one angle, right? The other angle is giving yourself credit for what you've gotten done, right? Keeping track of it, especially, and once again, we're government centric, right? A lot of our customers have contractual requirements that they have to demonstrate that they're doing maintenance on a regular basis, right? So we have to document that for proof of completion of that, or they're going to have a bad time, because in his side job, he's an assessor, right? So he gets to assess a lot of that
We have to go in and say, are you doing that? And it's not just, yes, I am. It's always followed with, prove it.
Yeah, show me the receipts.
Show me the documentation.
And then, God forbid this happens, but let's say that BIOS update goes horribly south, right?
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden you've got outages on the systems
Crowd
because
strike much?
Yeah, he said it, not me. Love you guys. You're awesome. Everybody has a
great
bad
product,
day.
but you had a pretty bad day.
Right. Understand. Not throwing any shade. But yeah, to that point, so very critical. You have your documentation. So hopefully you know how to reverse yourself out of that situation, or at a minimum be able to recover. Right.
Right.
Because that's you don't want to take your organization away by doing maintenance. Right. You're doing it wrong if that's what happens. Right.
And it's the testing, all the process you go through, the approval process. Who approved the update? Who tested the updates? And then you go and perform that maintenance. It's not just today's Saturday, maintenance day.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's go do some stuff.
Don't do that. We call that guerrilla admin. And while that could be very, I know, right? A lot of stories there, a lot of war stories.
Yeah.
Guerrilla admin, you just go in and do it when you want to, and you don't care about anybody else, and you get ready for the flak because it's coming, right? Don't do that. Don't do that. That's a break glass in case of emergency situation, right?
That's why we're gray.
Exactly. But we're still here, so we did get away with it.
We survived. We survived those times.
But we don't recommend it, right? Now that we've learned and got all the gray hair. So just a couple of examples for the audience. When it comes to the documentation, in your experience, what kind of different types of documentation have you seen that supports your maintenance effort?
A lot of times, like when you talked about the baseline, you should have some baseline documentation that says this system has this set of software. This is what the BIOS is set to. This is what any other kind of software is, and you can update that and show previous versions, if you will, so you could see the growth of that system through the maintenance.
Okay. Right on. And I was thinking even more basic on that. I've seen things as simple as a Word document, a spreadsheet, right? I've seen databases. For those of you that are a little fancier, like we are, you can get help desk software, right? That will allow you to create tickets so you can manage that stuff, right? So you can keep track of all that in a database. And, once again, it doesn't really matter. The point is have some kind of artifact there, not just to be able to show somebody that's wanting to look, but that you can use for historical reference.
That's right. And the whole point is to be able to show that you've done it, and then go back if you're like, what were we doing 6 months ago? Something seems to be different about the system, and you can say, well, we saw we did do maintenance on that machine, and we upgraded our BIOS, so this must be because of the BIOS.
Right. And Mike, you bring up a really good point. Sorry, when I twitch, I have a real world memory of something that happened. It's
PTSD. It kills us all.
What your point is, especially in complex environments, it may not be, let's say you do 10 things in a month for maintenance, and you get to 8 of those, and everything's working great, and then you put that 9th maintenance thing into action, and now all hell breaks loose, and something breaks horribly bad in your system. It's not necessarily that last thing you did. It could be the conjunction, the intersection of all those things together that creates that perfect storm of something that goes wrong, right? So once again, records and keeping track, because I don't know about you, I can't remember what I ate for dinner 2 days ago, much less what I did maintenance-wise a year ago or 6 months ago.
No. As I said, I don't know your name half the time.
It's all right. Just nod up and down.
I nod, smiling.
I like you, man. You're good.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, absolutely. So please keep records. And I know we're harping on this a lot, but make it a discipline. Think of it like this, right? It's unglamorous work. Nobody's going to applaud you for it until something goes wrong, right? But if you do it properly, it's like if you go to the gym, like obviously we haven't, but if you go to the gym and you work out for 6 months, people are going to notice a difference, right? They're going to be like, wow, that's a pretty buff individual there, right? Same thing with your systems environment with maintenance. It just kind of comes through, right?
Right. And just think of it, we usually call it preventive maintenance, and it's just like preventive care for your body.
Yep,
you are doing things to make sure that you don't have more problems and more expense later on.
Brushing and flossing your teeth twice a day, right? Keeps them in a lot longer.
Did my dentist call you?
Oh, he needs to. He needs to. I'm up close. You guys aren't.
I was going to say.
Wow.
Eric's keeping something. he just called me out.
Yeah, I'm sorry. No, you got great teeth. All right, Mike. So close this out, man. Bring it home.
So for me, maintenance is, again, that preventative care, right? We want to do these small, simple actions on a frequent basis to make sure that we don't have higher, more costly issues and errors and problems later on. You would rather think you spent 10 minutes a week fixing your laptop and doing some canned air on it versus it's going to overheat and die because it's chocked full of dust.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Something simple.
Yeah, and then my closing statement would be to, like Mike had mentioned, create a schedule, put it in manageable chunks, be realistic with your time expectations, schedule it out in advance, realize stuff happens. Sometimes you have to be flexible, but where you can, make it on a scheduled basis that's manageable.
That's right. And this Cyber Sitrep has been brought to you by us, but we're looking for sponsors. But we are coming to you live from the Studio 809 Community Podcast Studio, which is located at the Next Us. It's a professional cooperative environment for small businesses here in downtown Colorado Springs. We highly recommend it. It's a great service, and we will see you next time on the...
Look forward to seeing you next week.
On the Cyber Sitrep. Remember to like and follow.
Thanks. Take care, everybody.